Michael here, broadcasting in the middle of enemy territory in YYC for episode 2 of the Oilers Live podcast. My guest today will be Kelly from beerleagueheroes.com. Please support Kelly and Beer League Heroes as he comes to us all the way from Taipei, Taiwan. Thanks, Kelly. Enjoy the show.
Oilers Live podcast. Oilers Live podcast.
And welcome to the Oilers Live podcast, episode 2. I've got as my guest tonight Kelly, who operates the website and blog beerleagueheroes.com. Welcome, Kelly.
Hey, Mike. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for joining me tonight. So first part of the show tonight, I'd like to talk about the game versus Chicago and just kind of get your thoughts on it, what went right, what went wrong, and a little bit of discussion. So first, maybe give me an idea of what your overall ideas about the game tonight.
I didn't think that they played that terrible. Like at the very beginning, I thought they were really owning the Hawks, and as they got in the middle, they got into some penalty problems, and as we've seen all year, that's kind of been their downfall, right? Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, I thought just on that the way they started, I thought it was going to be ugly for the Hawks tonight after that first period. We dominated them coming out out of the gate.
Yeah, no doubt. I feel the same way. McDavid was flying right out of the gate too, right? But like I don't know, some of those penalty calls. Like, did Chicago have a penalty all night?
Yeah, they had. I had to look too because I've been big on the amount of penalty calls we've had in our favor this year, and we did have the two. We had that hook on Cassian as he was driving to the net, which was an iffy call, but we got that in our favor. And then we had that trip on Draisaitl early on, which led to the Puljujarvi goal.
Yeah, that's right. But like, I don't know, the Oilers seem to be getting a lot of the shaft from the refs this year. It seems, I don't know. It's hard to blame the refs, when the Oilers can't take advantage when they do get the power play. Yeah,
and tonight was no exception on the special teams, right? Obviously, the penalty kill was terrible as usual, and I think we're at about 57% right now for the kill at home.
Sounds like my high school average.
Yeah. I don't get it. I mean, how do you you can't win games, especially taking the amount of penalties the Oilers take. You can't win games like that. I know we're better on the road, and I'll never understand what the difference is between a road kill and a home kill. But we are awful. We are awful at home.
Yeah, no doubt. Like, do you think it's player personnel, or do you think it's coaching, or is it a little bit of each?
Yeah, I know we're both quite active on Twitter, and there's a lot of people calling for McClellan's head for the penalty kill, Woodcroft on the power play. I think, my take on it is nothing has changed, right? Like, so if nothing's changing, something's got to change. So either you change the way you coach the penalty kill, change the personnel you're using, but something has to change. And to date, from what I've seen, and I watch every game, I've not seen them take a different approach to the penalty kill. So something's got to change, and it's got to be coach or personnel. Well, do you have a thought?
Well, yeah, like the bad penalty kill hasn't just been this season; it's gone well into last season too. And that's a huge problem. And if the GM wants to make a change with the coaching staff and the head coach doesn't sign off on it, then isn't the head coach kind of like signing his own death warrant?
Yeah, and I don't. I kind of agree with you the biggest problem I have right now is, of course, everybody knows the coaching woes we've had in Edmonton. And do you really want to go through that again? Right. And is that something, is this a different team all around, or, is that something you take a look at seriously, and it's a big if we don't make the playoffs this year?
Well, like it's hard to say because this year's just been kind of a mess from the get go with the health and the bad starts to key players on the team. Right now we're starting to get everyone back healthy and kind of rolling again, but the special teams can't seem to find its way. I mean, Draisaitl hasn't scored on the power play yet.
Yeah, that I talked about it in my first episode, and I think one of the big things on the power play, and it's so hard to point the finger at McDavid, but if you watched the games from last year and you watched from this year, I found that McDavid on the sidewall was always pushing the defense back, and it was 50-50 whether he'd take a shot on net. And this year, it's pretty much 90-10 that he's going to pass it, and he's pretty stagnant on the sideboards. Like, he's not moving towards the net and attacking the net like he did last year. And I think that's a big deal, because if you have, a lot of people are saying put Puljujarvi on the first power play unit, which I don't necessarily disagree with. I think he'd do well, but Letestu could be equally good, or Draisaitl could be scoring goals again this year if McDavid makes that an option. And, it's so hard to criticize a guy like McDavid, but maybe that's a coaching thing. Maybe the coaches need to let him know. That's my take. I don't know if you've seen the same.
Well, what I'm seeing is that they're not moving around as much. They get in their spot and they kind of wait for the defense to try and to make a mistake right off the bat, and they don't. The defense just waits them out. But if they move their feet around, like pass a lot quicker, get to different areas of the ice. Like why does Letestu have to be in that wall? Why can't he be in the bumper? And why can't Draisaitl play where McDavid is and McDavid play behind the net? Do you know what I mean? Just move it around, because it forces the defense to for their box to go, to expand and contract, right? Therefore, opening up lanes for the Oilers, mad magicians to do their thing.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair statement. And when you got the second power play line coming on, I'm finding they're moving the puck quick, and they've been a little bit successful, right? Of course, I'm not sure what Nugent Hopkins, what his power play goals are at now, but he's done well on the power play this year.
Yeah, no, you know what I'm finding with Puljujarvi is that he might not score those goals that we saw him score in junior or in Finland, right? He like the goals he's scoring this year are like Dave Anderchuk goals. Those goals right in front of the net where he uses his huge butt and his long reach to take advantage of the defenseman.
So here's the thing that, I was on one of the Oilers tweeps out there was tweeting about being negative on Caggiula tonight. And one of the plays tonight, McDavid and Caggiula were going down on the net, and Caggiula skated right past the net. And the puck goes out front, and of course he's not there to put the puck in the net. Now, the reason I bring that up now is because that's what Puljujarvi is doing. He's staying in front of the net, and that's where you score. That's where Draisaitl's goal was scored tonight in the dying minute. He stayed in front of the net, and he scored. And Caggiula, I don't get it. This guy is, what is he, 23, 24 now? And if you've played enough hockey, you can't skate by the net. And he did that tonight. And Puljujarvi has had success staying in front of the net. And I think you're right there. I mean, he's kind of figured it out, at least for now. He's still young, but he's looked good.
Yeah. Caggiula he's a bit baffling to me. I think he's got similar skills to Eberle, the way he plays his playing style and the way he stick handles and whatnot. He's got a little bit more zip on his shot, and he's way more aggressive. But he just can't seem to figure out what he wants to do. Does he want to be that super aggressive, irritating hockey player? Or does he want to be that that skilled scorer, and I think he'd be best to figure that out right away before the team kind of gives up on him, like they did with, say, like a Cogliano back in the day.
I was thinking about Cogs today, and maybe actually I think you brought him up in a tweet earlier, and man, I miss that guy. Like when he came into his game, geez, he's outstanding. I'd love to have him on my team.
Yeah, it's exactly the kind of guy the Oilers need for their PK. I was saying on Twitter that the Oilers maybe need to find those players that really take pride in their defensive game, and instead of playing it both ways. I'm not sure if it was Strudwick was saying it on the Gregor show, but if you take guys like McDavid and Nugent Hopkins and Draisaitl, they're really high-end offensive players. So when they're on the ice, their first instinct is offense, not necessarily defense right away. But if you get those guys that know their role and really put a lot of emphasis on the defensive side of the puck, that might benefit the Oilers' penalty kill a little better.
So that makes me think: how many shorthanded goals did we score last year? I mean, we seem to be doing all right. We got to be up there with the league leaders, right? We've had 4 or 5. I know Letestu, I think, has had 2 shorthanded goals on his own.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So that's the other side of the coin, right? When you put those high-end offensive guys on there, you give yourself that opportunity. And I'm wondering if that's what the coaching staff is betting on. Like, the PK is so bad at home, so we'll put these offensive guys on the ice. And, if we score a goal, it doesn't look like the PK is so bad.
So I'm actually looking at the stat, and total last year we scored four shorties. So, and I think we've scored at least that this year. I mean, maybe you're onto something. Maybe, we've scored, we've got 7 shorthanded goals already this year.
See, that's outstanding, to be honest. 7 getting up to 10 shorthanded goals, that means they're a threat on the PK. So, it harkens back to those, Dynasty Oilers days where people just couldn't stop them from scoring. But the problem is, they simply don't score enough now to overcome the wretched penalty kill.
Yeah. So your overall take on the game tonight, you think there's some lessons that are learned from tonight?
I don't know. They still play like a young team to me. So their highs are high and their lows are low. And as we've seen at the end of the game when they put that huge push forward on glass and got a couple goals, right, and then gave it up in overtime. I think this season's going to be a learning experience once again, and maybe next year they'll get back on track. But it's hard to say. Tonight's game was good and bad, but I haven't seen a game this year that's been all good or all bad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they've, I think that Winnipeg game was pretty ugly, but my overall take is they've had more good games than bad, in my opinion. They've certainly had a shortness of puck luck and could probably use a few calls in their favor.
The
not overly disappointed, though. Well, I shouldn't say that. I am disappointed with where we're at in the standings, but
it wasn't it was half expected, though. Do you know what I mean? Like last year was pretty bloody good.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
All right. Well, I think now's a good time for a break. When we get back, we'll discuss Beer League Heroes.
Oilers Live Podcast.
Welcome back to Oilers Live Podcast. We're going to, on part 2 here, speak with Kelly from beerleagueheroes.com and get a little background on Beer League Heroes. Thanks again for joining us, Kelly. To start, just would like to get an idea how long you've been doing Beer League Heroes.
Oh boy, it's been a while. I kind of forgot when I started it. If I look back in the records, I think it started around 2012. To be honest, I had a little blog over on Weebly.com, just like the free program. You can sign up to do your website there, and it's been I guess we're going on 5 or 6 years now, right? So
Yeah, that's great. That's actually pretty good. I know. I don't think most blogs last that long. So my hat's off to you. One of the questions is, how long have you been an Oilers fan?
Kind of since all I can remember, right? Like I grew up in Camrose, which is just outside of Edmonton, and my dad kind of brainwashed me when I was a little boy because I was born in '80, so you know, from the time I was born to till the time I was 10, the Oilers were the best team in the world. So it wasn't hard to convince me, to be a fan of the team. Um, but like once I got old enough to kind of like make my own decisions, the Oilers weren't exactly my favorite team. I moved on. I was a big fan of players when I was playing hockey. I liked Yzerman from Detroit.
Yeah.
Mario Lemieux is my all-time favorite. So I love the Penguins from about 1990 on. And then like I've always come back. Oilers have always, I'll never leave them. They're always in my heart, right? So um, once I got older and moved into Edmonton, I found myself not following as closely as I did when I was a little kid, and actually not until I moved to Taiwan did I really get back on the bandwagon per se.
So yeah, that's something that I didn't bring up yet. But you're in Taiwan now. How long have you been there for?
Since 2005.
So you've been there for 12 years.
Hmm.
And in that time, you've started up an Oilers blog. You're doing some Oilers T-shirts and a few other different things. How do you get all your information out there? And do you ever get back into Alberta to watch a game?
Well, it's not all that different to get info over here as it is back home. It's just that I'm on a different clock than everybody else. So while everybody's watching their games after dinner, I'm watching my games after breakfast. So that's kind of the gig over here in terms of like actual resources. It's most of the same websites that everyone else goes to. Like I like to get a lot of my stuff from NHL.com actually, and Low Tide's blog is the best, obviously. I like the Athletic. I was a little bit skeptical signing up to it because it was a lot of fancy stats, guys kind of running the show. But there's a lot of like play analysis from Justin Bourne. If you like your rumors and the LeBron's there, and there's.
Yeah, are you paying for the content now, or are you still on the trial?
No, I pay for it, so I like the prospect stuff from Prawn and whatnot. So that's kind of I go to Cap Friendly, and I one resource I really like is called rosterresource.com. You can see the entire depth chart from all the NHL teams kind of in one place, and it covers all sports as well if you're into fantasy and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
do you have any fellow Oiler fans or NHL fans in Taiwan?
In Taiwan, there's a lot of closet Oilers fans.
Yeah.
So they're like,
there are here too, by the way.
There are a lot of people here that love the Oilers but won't wear the merch or anything. So they don't get called out by the other hockey guys here.
Yeah.
So it's not been the best to be an Oilers fan since I moved here.
No, well, a decade of darkness, of course. Yeah.
But I don't really care. I'll go outside in my Oilers swag. It doesn't matter who cares.
Yeah. Do you see? Anybody stop you ever? I mean, obviously, it kind of gives you that Canadian look if you're wearing an NHL jersey.
Yeah, here the only people that take a second look are like some foreigners, but the locals they don't know what it is. They don't care. I think I was at an international hockey event here, and there was a guy with a Flames jersey, and I was wearing my Oilers jersey, and he said something, and I told him where to go.
Yeah, I get that all the time being in Calgary.
Yeah, I lived in Airdrie for a couple of years when I was younger, so I kind of know how it is.
So I'm curious because it sounds like you've got a bit of the same start as me. I was an Oilers fan in the early '80s, because everybody was, and then I stopped being an Oilers fan and was a huge Lemieux fan as well, and became a Penguins fan. I started being an Oilers fan again when they started putting those really exciting sort of seventh, eighth place teams together back when they had the big rivalry with Dallas. And just curious if it was about that time that you came back to the fold as well.
Like when I was younger, I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to the regular season. And so like the playoff matchups that you're talking about, those are a lot of the memories that I have of the Oilers growing up. Like when I was young, I don't have a lot of those like dynasty Oilers memories. But when I was more into my teenage years in my early 20s, then I can remember those rivalries with Dallas especially and Colorado.
Oh yeah,
those were some great playoff years, and Cujo was amazing in that time. So
now looking at Beer League Heroes, I notice you are selling the pixelized T-shirts with the players on them.
Yeah, those 16-bit hockey players, the NHL
16-bit. Yeah. What is there a favorite other than Connor McDavid, who's probably you know what? I've seen one. I don't know if it's from you, but I play a lot of hockey out here, and I've seen a couple guys wearing them at hockey games.
It's funny about that. I came up with the idea, and I threw it up on Teespring. That was another website I was using at the time. And then Oilers Nation came in and asked me if they could, like, how would you say, like, lease it or whatever, lease the design for the summer. So I got paid quite well that summer because that was the year that McDavid came in.
Yeah,
and they sold a lot of those T-shirts. But apart from McDavid's the biggest seller, obviously, because what he does on the ice is very similar to the NHL 94 moves that we did when we were young. Crosby, I think Crosby's right up there.
Yeah.
Mostly because since my shirt shop is mostly Oilers stuff, the high sellers are kind of Oilers designs. I got a Lucic fighting one.
So I like the fuck Kessler shirts.
Yeah, more people should buy those because that's a really good one.
It is a good one. And you know what? I mean, that's universal here in Alberta, right? You can wear that anywhere.
Yeah. I didn't put any Oilers color on that on purpose. That means any fan can wear that shirt, and we can all have a common thread, right?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. And of course, did you see the highlight on the Kessler Tkachuk fight tonight?
I watched a few seconds of it, and Kessler punched Tkachuk, and something flew out of his mouth. And I'm not sure if it was teeth or if it was that retarded, mouth guard that he always has hanging out.
Yeah. No, I think it's probably that mouth guard. And as much I hate Tkachuk almost as much as I hate Kessler. But Tkachuk was smiling the whole way through.
Oh, he was beaking him the whole time. He was giving him those jersey jabs and just beaking him the whole way. And then Kessler shoved a fist in his mouth. And I don't know, like if they're gonna beat up on people, they might as well beat up on each other. I think that's all right with me.
Absolutely.
Well,
I'll help you. I'll help you promote those shirts. So I'll maybe get an order in for one and wear it to some of the hockey games I go. I'm sure it'll be popular.
Oh yeah, perfect. And if anyone wants some custom 16-bit, they just have to email beerleagueheroes@hotmail.com with their specifications, and I can do it right up for them.
Absolutely great. You know what? Maybe I can get one done for my all-time rec hockey league personal number. Put my own number on there.
Perfect. You sure could, man.
Yeah. So do you get a chance to play any hockey out there in Taiwan?
Yeah, I've been playing for probably as long as I've had the blog, actually.
Oh yeah.
So hockey's been here for quite a while. There's only a couple of rinks in Taipei, and we can only play like maybe 1 or 2 times a month. But
oh really? Yeah.
Yeah, there's the ice time's a bit tough to get sometimes.
And what about equipment? Pretty expensive?
We have one hockey shop here, and it's a Bauer one. So if you don't like Bauer, you're screwed. You have to order off of eBay or get someone to smuggle in some equipment overseas for you. But The community is like it is back home, right? If you need something, somebody's got something hanging around that they're not using. They'll sell it to you, or they'll just give it to you, right? So it's good in that regard.
And your game, you think it's getting better?
No, I dropped down 2 levels. Yeah, no, I'm getting old now. I'm going on 38. So
Yeah.
see, you see over here, like the foreign team that I was on, we played the Taiwanese kids, so they're like 16 to 18, and they're stupid fast, and they're like really good skaters. They've been watching bloody Crosby highlights and Ovechkin highlights for 5 years, so they try to emulate, how to skate like them and do everything they do, and then they try it out on us and embarrass us. So I dropped down to the adult division, so I'm on a team with no foreigners and all Taiwanese, and we're all like over 30 and have families and stuff like that. So it's a little slower paced, but at least I can get my 2 to 3 points a game.
Yeah, you know what? I hear you. I'm early 40s, and it happens for me too. Every year it seems to get a little bit slower, which makes me respect Jaromir Jagr that much more. Let me tell you.
At least he can cross over to his right, though. I have to plant my foot and pivot.
Well, if I'm ever out that way in Taiwan, I'll have to bring my skates and my equipment.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
It'd be fun to play a game out there. So we're just about running out of time. Anything about Beer League Heroes while I've got you on the show that you want to share with the audience? And there's about a dozen questions I didn't get a chance to ask you today, so I'd also like to ask you back in the future if you're game. But anything you want to share before we close off for the night?
Well, we've got we're on every social media platform, more or less. We got a YouTube channel, basically youtube.com/BeerLeagueHeroes. We got the TeePublic shop, which is where the site makes what little money it does. Instagram we're on Facebook. So for any of you listening, just, pop onto any of your favorite social platforms, even Twitter, and, type in Beer League Heroes and you'll find us right away. Just closing off, I want to say thanks again for having me on your podcast. I really, really love it when these indie podcasts and blogs pop up. I'm a big fan of doing it yourself. If you don't like what's out there, then create something better. That's the way I feel about it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. The motivation, though, there's and I plan on doing a podcast about this in the future. There's a lot of podcasts I love that are about the Oilers. So I'm certainly not, wasn't a matter of not liking what was out there, but just happy to be another voice for a struggling team right now. But thanks so much, Kelly, for joining me, and I'll get you on again. And for those that are listening, please do stop at Kelly's Facebook page, Beer League Heroes, beerleagueheroes.com, or at Beer League Hero, I believe, for your Twitter.
Hero with an E at the end.
Hero with an E at the end. All right, have a great night, and enjoy your day in Taiwan, as I think it's time for me to head to bed now. It's closing in on midnight here.
All right, take care of yourself, Mike. Thanks again.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. Bye. And for those of you that made it this far, thanks for listening. Hope to have you back for episode 3. Lots exciting on the way.
Oilers Live Podcast. Oilers Live.